After terrorizing Legacy with its friend Vexing Bauble, this Eldrazi is at the top of the Vintage metagame. Welcome back, Vintage gamers, to what looks to be a brand new Vintage format following Aether Drift's printing. This deck itself does not have new Aether Drift cards, but the other deck in the format, Lurrus PO, does. So if you take a look at last week's data, you can see the format has gone crazy. We have the two most played deck by a significant margin are Raker Shops and Lurrus PO. Lots of variation inside of Lurrus PO, obviously, but then Raker Shops very consistently stock decks. It's very interesting to watch the rise of Raker Shops. It reminds me a lot of Initiative, where it's just a new no force of will aggro deck that needs to be taken seriously in terms of sideboarding and play patterns, and people are still trying to figure out exactly the best ways to do that. It is worth noting that there's some potential for Raker Shops to be even better, because players, I don't think, are playing it at the same level as its top pilots. People like CRK and Subasa Kevin, those people are playing the deck very, really high level. Maybe some of the other pilots are not. But I do think that it's shown over time that typically decks that start with a really high win rate will come down in win rate as the field adjusts to not only the decks, but there's, you do it sideboarding correctly, and of course play patterns. If you recall, Initiative burst onto the scene with very high 60% win rates for multiple months before just falling down every month after that until the point where we're at today, where Initiative is still a good deck, but it's still a deck that ranges between 48% and 52% depending on the weekend. But one thing I just, the numbers here are a lot. There are a lot of people trying out Raker Shops and Lurrus PO, and those decks are not doing poorly. Both of those decks had some of the highest win percentage as the first and second most played decks, with triple the number of plays as the third most played deck. They're putting up winning records. So I can only imagine that they will continue to put up a high metagame percentage going into this weekend showcase. It certainly looks like something needs to change inside of the control decks of the format. Blue, Black, and Esper Lurrus control have not adjusted very well to Raker Shops and Lurrus PO. And that's something to think about. How long is it going to take Lurrus control pilots to figure out what they need to do? Because there's lots of things they can do. Lurrus control players can have, Flusterstorms and Pyroblast to deal with stock ups and POs. They can start playing more Null Rods, more Consigned Memory, more Steel Sabotage, those kind of cards to beat Raker Shops. Lots of things to think about. One of the things I want to think about is I'm pretty much locked in on playing a Lurrus PO deck. That's very much my kind of deck, something that I want to be doing. But it's important when you are learning how to play against the metagame that you understand what the other decks are doing, what the decks you're trying to beat are doing. And I've had some problems recently where I felt like I was playing against Raker Shops, and I think conceptually it's a very favorable matchup for Lurrus PO. However, there's lots of things happening and lots of ways things can go wrong. And I had 2 losses to Raker Shops in the most recent challenge where I felt like I force of willed the wrong cards. I force of willed a Scrawling Crawler, and I force of willed a Sensei's Top with a key out, and then my opponent untapped and played a bigger card that I couldn't deal with. So what I always suggest people do when they're trying to, especially when you are like a one-deck player, not that I'm a one-deck player, but if you're trying to learn one deck really well, one of the best things you can do is play the other decks. Play the decks you're trying to beat. Learn exactly what makes them tick, where are the weaknesses, what are they trying to accomplish. That way you have a better idea of how to combat those decks, especially when you're a blue deck with controlling elements like PO. You want to know exactly what you're trying to counter. So what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to play a league with the other top deck of the format, Raker Shops, just to get a better feel on how the deck works, and maybe we'll learn some things along the way about sequencing and how to maximize this deck's potential, because it is doing extremely well in the format, and I want to know more about it. So yeah, for anyone who hasn't seen this deck yet, the main card is Glaring Fleshraker Legacy All-Star. When you cast colorless spells, you get spawns, and whenever colorless creatures enter, they deal damage to each opponent. We are going to play this as an aggro combo deck. You have your Glaring Fleshraker, and it combos infinitely with 2 Sensei Stops to kill your opponent. But you also have things like the One Ring and Manifold Key as a 4 of to draw a million cards that way. You obviously have Time Vault and Manifold Key to take infinite turns, and we're going to add on to that combo package by having a very strong and resilient aggro plan. We have Patchwork Automaton, which actually combos pretty well with those Sensei Stops, drawing and replaying, which is going to get very, very large. You have the Scrawling Crawler, which doesn't look like a super strong card on its surface, but actually plays really well into multiple parts of the metagame. This card is players lose life when players draw, so it's actually very good against opponents' infinite Time Vault Key combos. Things like Jewel can have a hard time dealing with this card. Things like PO can have a hard time dealing with this card. On the flip side, decks that play Orcish Bowmaster, this is a card you don't want against Orcish Bowmaster. But with Lurrus PO on the rise, mirror matches on the rise, and controlling Bowmaster decks on the downfall, it's actually a really nice spot to be in. You do have, of course, the very powerful Nettle Cyst to supplement your aggro plan. It's just one of the best things you can do off of just casting off a workshop. It's got a very efficient, and it actually, you can suit up those Eldrazi spawns and make them into threats as well. Bunch of restricted prison pieces, Bauble, Lowstone Golem, Karn. You also, of course, have Mystic Forge for your combo elements. And then sideboard, you have a bunch of cards to disrupt the main problem of this deck, which is opposing blue combo decks. So you have Disruptor Flutes, Stone Brains, and you have Cages for Oath. You've got Masticores for when your opponents are bringing in Null Rods against you, and Dismember for creatures. There is actually a public document from CRK, who is the creator. I guess creator is probably a reasonable way to put it. Obviously, everyone was showing off Fleshraker combo decks immediately after the land last year, including on this channel. But you do need to give credit to CRK because basically, decks that are powerful enough for vintage don't always see play in vintage because there's only so many pilots. Basically, CRK kept making this deck better and better and piloted it week after week for a couple months, started seeing some serious results with the deck, and other players noticed that, picked it up, and that's how we have this deck into the metagame now. So, we're going to play this through a league, see what we can learn, and hopefully better position ourselves for the Vintage Showcase this weekend. The legendary NYSE Open returns to Long Island in New York. This 9th installment will be a 15 proxy, $500 entry fee tournament where the top 8 will return home with 8 pieces of real unlimited power. Black Lotus, Ancestral Recall, Time Walk, and all 5 Moxens will be part of this celebration of vintage. At 100 players, there'll be an additional wacky draft with classic booster packs from Ice Age to Onslaught, the NYC Trophy, Karn Altars, $1,000 in giveaways, dealers, and much, much more. Check out the link below for all the details. I hope to see you there. Let's battle. All right, right off the bat, we're blessed with a matchup that is probably not the greatest testing. Kenzaburo is a notorious brewer, typically inside of 4-color controlling shells, a big Dreadhorde Arcanist fan. So it will be a little bit of an interesting matchup that we won't have a lot of data on. Let's see what we can do. I'm going to keep this hand. I don't feel like this hand is amazing, but we do have turn 1 Lodestone. Should be pretty good against our opponent. We also have some other options like City of Traders, Grim Monolith into Fleshraker as well. So lots to think about. White bordered Urza Saga seems interesting. Nothing like a 4-color control deck with a colorless land. Spell Pierce is something to be considering from here. Yes. Sapphire Ancestral Saga. Okay, I mean, this is definitely one of the, it's like a feel bad moment when you're playing a non-blue deck and your opponent just gets to do whatever they want inside of blue broken cards. So to me, I like Monolith Fleshraker. I feel like we're pretty past the point of Lodestone being the line of attack, where Fleshraker has a lot of upside. Obviously, if this gets forced, it's not great for us, but yeah, immediate force of will. I think that's good recognition. Fleshraker is definitely one of the core cards of this deck. Really make sure that you can do all the things you want to do. Like if I get wastelanded here, I can't really approach this game, but if I had a Fleshraker, then I have a little bit more things going on in terms of mana. Now, yeah, this is a little bit going to try to be a little bit of a learning experience for me. I won't say that I'll play this deck perfectly, but I have actually played it on stream a few times now, so we'll see what happens. My opponent has land, snap, ancestral. Yeah, this is my biggest problem with playing a deck like this or like initiative. You just don't have a lot of agency when your opponent has blue restricted cards. All right, so I have 5 mana. I can go up to down to 4, up to 7 mana, and play a Lodestone and a Nettle Cyst. I think I'm interested in the idea of. I'm not gonna play around days at all. I'm interested in the idea of seeing if I can get this Nettle Cyst countered, and if not, I can go. Maybe I can play 2 Nettle Cysts. No, I think I like the idea of getting this Lodestone in. All right, got a Lodestone resolve. I mean, we have some big dudes. Will big dudes be enough? I don't know. We'll see. All right. Opponent is obviously not going to make constructs. Don't feel like they're going to do very much from this point. Just going to use this as a way to tutor up Black Lotus. Is I think the main way Kenza typically plays this out. But obviously Soul Ring works as well. Looking at Kenza's last 4-color list, it looks like a hybrid of, almost, it's similar to an Unlucky Monkey trainer deck, but is playing Planeswalkers at 3 mana and Hull Breachers instead of Lurrus. So I'm seeing things like Thundertrap Trainer, Snapcaster, Dreadhorde Arcanist, Flames of Venor, but like no POs, only 1 Sink into Stupor. So we'll have to see. Could be a Hardcast Lorien, could be a Dak Faden. God bless, man. Yeah. Wait a second. Oh, he's got 2 mana to re-equip. Jeez. All right, fair enough. You've stolen my Nettle Cyst. Will you put the Nettle Cyst on the Snapcaster Mage? You certainly will. Now you have a 5/4 Snapcaster Mage. Brilliant. All right, so what is my plan? I could, of course, equip this Lodestone with a Nettle Cyst and attack in. It would be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It'd be a lot. That is like losing out. Could just play a Scrawler. Doesn't seem particularly strong. Don't really know if I need to like how much do I care about killing this Dak Faden? My opponent probably has a prismatic ending. I don't see any swords in the main, which is kind of interesting, but 2 Flames of Venor that could kill the Lodestone, leaving us with no creatures. It's actually quite challenging. Pick this spot. If they find another creature, they can re-equip the Nettle Cyst again. I'm not sure. It feels kind of awkward to equip this Nettle Cyst, but does feel like the most pressuring stance. Now attacking Dak Faden versus not attacking Dak Faden. I'm not sure the answer to that one either, but I'll try attacking Dak Faden. Yeah. All right, they're looting. Maybe they'll loot away things like Pyroblast, Flusterstorm, those kind of cards. It's typically what Dak was used for in previous iterations of Vintage. You get to play these main deck Pyroblasts, yeah, and then be able to get rid of them against Mud while you steal their creatures. I mean, we are super dead. My opponent is going off, which is typically what happens when you draw Ancestral, Sapphire, Snap Ancestral. Hmm. I can't wait for them to play some blockers and then steal my Lodestone Golem, you know. Normal plays. They can't kick an Offspring Trainer here. Although they can. They have 7 mana. Okay, well, that's not good. Could just be Flames of Anor. Destroy an artifact. Oh, Prismatic Ending for 4 colors. Yeah, I guess what happens when you play a 4-color deck. Plus, they even have the off-color Emerald there. Full Moxen deck. Yeah, this looks really, really bad for me. They steal my Crawler. It'll be hard to combo kill my opponent. I might not even want to equip it with a Nettlecyst, considering my opponent could steal it with a Nettlecyst attached and hit me. Let's take a peek at what the top cards of our library look like here. Tolarian Patchwork Key. Yeah, I mean, they don't really do much. I don't really need to untap things. It's probably just casting this Scrawler and going. I don't think we're gonna play the Mana Crypt out either. Unfortunately, I mean, my opponent has 8 mana. They have an active Planeswalker. They have all of my threats dealt with. Yeah, I mean, I feel like if opponent just steals this with Dak, the Dak has done its job, and I'm in deep trouble. Because then, like, my plan of maybe going top with Key, draw 2 cards a turn is not very good either. Can't imagine there's a comeback potential. Oh, they're just getting force it. All right. Well, they have only 1 card left. They pitched a Lorien Reveal to do that, so not bad. They do get to look at their top 2 here and pick the best 2 out of the 4. Probably not good for me. Oh, it looks like they're not activating Dak first. What are you up to? Ah, yes. Kicking a Thunder Trap Trainer. That is an artwork that I had not seen before. It is certainly an artwork of all time. All right. I'm about ready to concede, chat. Time Walk. All right. Big Blue control deck here, but like in true, there's a Chase the Mind Sculptor. Opponent's picking some interesting artworks here. We got a furry Chase the Mind Sculptor. Okay, fair enough. All right, I'm off it. You bested me here. This is like a kind of like a Shockwave deck, but with no POs, huh? It's just a Big Blue control deck, which is pretty cool. It's a deck that, an archetype that hasn't really seen a lot of play in Vintage in the past few years with the addition of Lurrus, but like Monastery Mentor, Mana Crypt, Soul Ring decks have always been quite powerful. So, doesn't look like our opponent is interested in Null Rods, so we can not have to worry about that with our Argenta Masticore. Clearly, Stonebrain is not going to be effective because they have multiple different threats. Same with Disruptor Flute, really. I don't have any interest in dismembering my opponent. I guess they could theoretically have their 1 Hull Breacher, which I would be annoyed about. But I don't think that's worth it. I'm pretty sure I'm going to run this directly back. Our sideboard has some cards that are very pointed. You know, these cards are going in against Bazaar, and then these cards are going in against Combo, and then this is going against creatures, and this is going in against Null Rods, and that's kind of it. So we're going to do our thing and see what we can do. We want to get a more aggressive start, and we want to hopefully have our opponent have less forces and less ancestrals. This is a great hand, obviously. Lots of mana to work with. Not super worried about Mindbreak Trap either. If I get trapped, I get trapped. I'm going to go for the full gambit here of mana so that I can play things off Forge after. If my opponent wants to... Mental misstepping that is not ideal, but we're still in an okay spot. I still think I'd like to try to resolve this Forge now. If I get trapped, I'll be so sad, but I feel like Oh my god, they have one Mind Break Trap in their deck and they hit me with it. Okay. So like the way to play around Trap in this instance is just going Mana Crypt, Ancient Tomb, Forge. But I just feel like that's like the least... It just feels like the least powerful thing we can do and opens like up tons of problems in that we just like don't actively attack our opponent fast enough. I don't know. My opponent has like the one Hull Breacher here too. That would be... I mean, that's just good deck building. Control deck has its one answers. You gotta find the one answer. Yeah, they have... Oh, they have swords. Yeah, they do have 3 swords in their sideboard, so that makes sense. Yeah, I'm dead. Okay. I mean, this game is definitely my fault because I played into Mind Break Trap. The thing to think about is playing around Mind Break Trap correct? If my opponent's last seen deck list that they 5-0'd with yesterday has one Mind Break Trap in the sideboard, are we supposed to play around Mind Break Trap? I don't know. Maybe. The answer might be yes. It's absolutely possible that the answer is yes. But double Mox and Star, including a blue one, Ancestral Trap, and Misstep. A good one for sure. I don't know. When do you start? What? I mean, I could definitely play around my trap, right? Like I had a reasonable turn 1 option of just playing out. I mean, yeah, it's probably wrong. Let's just not sugarcoat it. It's probably wrong for me to just not play around the one Mind Break Trap. Opponent got a jet off of this trainer. Academy. Jeez. Big Blue. I feel bad because it is my fault, but at the same time, one Mind Break Trap. But it's like such a reasonable Ancient Tomb Mana Crypt play thing that it's... Yeah, it's just bad. It's just me playing badly, right? All right. Now, to be fair, if my opponent has a force, I'm never winning that game anyways. But I did know of a one Mind Break Trap, and I could have played around it, and I didn't, and I lost because of it. So, you know, it is what it is. All right, here we go. Another possible unique deck. Our opponent, the Power 9, is a very powerful PO wizard. PO and Storm usually. Last seen playing a Tinker PO deck, splashing red for Pyroblast and a Braid in a recent challenge. I think that this is always going to be a keep with Vault Key combo and Fleshraker. It's a little dicey. These Nemesis are kind of out of place. Definitely could use more mana, but our Saga pays for our Raker. We can still play a top. We can even spin the top if we want. Not 100% clear if spinning the top is correct, though. Obviously, probably worth spinning in case we find another top, right? Also, we can find mana for next turn. Well, I guess finding another top would not help us. What we can do is draw into this Emerald and play a Time Vault right now when we think our opponent's not going to counter it. Might be worth it. Obviously not the fastest clock, but does kind of put our opponent in a spot. My opponent's now going to force this Emerald. Interesting. Force pitching force on the Emerald. Wonder if they were worried about... I don't know what they were worried about. It doesn't seem correct to me, but Next turn I can play a top and a time vault, so. Not 100% sure what hitting that emerald. Maybe they're trying to prevent me from getting construct tokens. Not sure. Demonic tutor off of Jet, maybe. Ah, a braid on the Fleshraker. I see. All right. Well, gonna make my opponent have one more piece of interaction here. My opponent had good. See, this is the exact kind of thing that happened to me in the last challenge, where I had my opponent here had great pieces of interaction, right? They had force, and they had a braid, which sounds great here. And I'm just going to overpower those. Now, it's probably likely my opponent misused their force, but the braid makes sense. Here's a stock up. I don't know what they can hit. Lotus Tinker, maybe. But, yeah, this is the exact kind of experience where I think my opponent held all the cards, but just did not play them in the most efficient way, and this deck's gonna sneak a win because of it. Now, of course, I could draw this key, right? But I don't, because I know my top cards. So I always can just search up a key here. One of 4. And take infinite turns. All right, I feel like I snuck that win here. Now, see what CRK says about Lurrus PO. Because this is obviously this isn't Lurrus PO. But CRK was taking out some 1-rings, bringing in traps, disruptor flutes, and stone brains. And taking out talons and keys and nettlecysts and stuff. I don't know if I'm taking out stone brain versus this. Putting in stone brain is good against this version of PO. My opponent is on Tinker Volt Key, Time Vault Key, and Citadel and Mentor. So there might be need to play this a little bit differently, because they're not like the Lurrus PO deck, which has less win conditions. We'll see. So let's do Mindbreak Trap. I guess you could theoretically play Cage for Tinker, Citadel, and Yogwill. I've never really liked that approach. Let's try bringing in Disruptor Flutes and Mindbreak Traps and not bringing in Stone Brain. And then trimming on Nettlecyst, Talon Gates, some key. Oh, I guess if you're taking out key, maybe just trim a key and a ring. He wants to try to trim on these pieces. Looking for fast crawlers and pressure. It's funny because he says Raker is great game 1 as they have no removal, but my opponent hit me with an braid. Obviously, you know, PO decks, especially when they're not Lurrus, have a lot of variation inherent in them. And this is kind of one of the issues with like sideboard guys in general, is that if you stick too closely to a sideboard guide, you're going to make not 100% correct decisions, and it can be really punishing on your win rate, actually. I'm typically someone who doesn't recommend sideboard guides because I find that they will make you complacent and stop critical thinking. And you really do need to have a different plan sideboard for every single matchup and every single player. Simply having a plan for, say, even if my opponent was on the exact stock Lurrus PO list, I mean, you don't know that your opponent's on the exact stock Lurrus PO list, right? Maybe they felt like they needed more removal, and then by having removal in their deck, your whole sideboard plan actually has to change. So we really need to make sure that you are watching and remembering what choices and cards your opponent's playing and what kind of information they show you game to game, so you can change these sideboard plans as they go. That's not to say sideboard guys are useless, especially when you're learning a list. There can be a lot of value in them, but you need to make sure that you don't succumb to the sideboard guide. Now, this hand is exactly what we're really looking for against PO, especially in game 2. We've got that Mindberry Trap to protect us from early broken combos, and we have a very fast turn 1 Scrawling Crawler to punish our opponent. This is basically what we're looking for, so pretty excited to keep this hand. Mox. Go. Another trap. Probably don't want a second trap. Will I play around possible traps for my opponent this time? No, I don't think so. There is a downside here of if my opponent has a mental misstep in, then I won't be able to play Crawler if I take this line. But I'm going to see if my opponent is... I don't think my opponent has Spell Pierce in their deck. Oh god, they have Spell Pierce in the deck. So yeah, I guess playing this way prevents my opponent from Spell Piercing my top or my key, but could have Spell Pierced my Soul Ring. Yeah, I don't know if I like this line then. Maybe I should have considered doing something else. They could also have a Braid in response to this activation here. But this was definitely my best card, so see what opponent thinks about it. So my opponent is truly a Grixis PO Tinker deck with a splashed Monastery Mentor. Which they're very, yeah, one Tundra, Splash Monastery Mentor. All right. See what opponent has for us. No tap land. Vampiric. Sure. So is my opponent going to cast Tinker and play a Citadel here? Can they combo with a Citadel through a Crawler? These are all questions that I don't know the answer to, so I'm very excited to find out with you, chat. Maybe they just vamp for a Mentor. Maybe they just vamp for an Abrade. We'll have to see. This does cost 2 life. We do have 2 pieces of traps for like a Citadel kill, so should be very interesting to follow. If we can get a win against P9 on what I assume to be not a super fun matchup for us, that'd be pretty good. I do basically agree with what CRK says here. Versus Lurrus PO, which this obviously my opponent's deck is not Lurrus PO. So we have to try to change it up a little bit. Plan is to beat or down with or combo kill, preferably with early pressure from Scrawling Crawler. Need to look for fast hands that pressure the opponent's life total. Talks about how Raker is great in game 1 as they have no removal. Obviously, our Raker got killed in game 1 versus removal, but that happens. And Crawler is actually very good against opponents' Volt Key combos. Hole Breacher. Wow, that's an interesting one. Sideboard Hole Breacher just got tutored for to stop Scrawling Crawler. Damn. And stops Manifold Key. Yeah. That's so bad for me. I could have drawn with top there. I don't know if that would have been helpful. All right, so every turn, my opponent, every time my upkeep happens, my opponent gets a card and a treasure. Seems quite good. Maybe I should have spun before here. I don't actually have a way to kill that. I didn't board in Masticores, so. I didn't. Oh, I see. So next turn we can win with Vault Key if it resolves. I do want. So the reason I didn't activate Upkeep is because I wanted to have 3 mana with Soul Ring and Ancient Tomb to be able to make this Crawler unblockable and get in for 3. I think life total will matter here. But yeah. All right, my opponent's at 11. I have 2 traps. I can't draw extra cards. Blue, white, stock up. I feel like that's likely to find a force for Time Vault, sadly. I could try to wait and maybe find Black Lotus or Tolarian Academy to get a hard cast trap in, but it doesn't seem like a very useful thing. We are pressuring our opponent if they don't find a removal spell. This is an unblockable Crawler, but opponent is getting a lot of value. So I think what I'm gonna do is I feel I just have to cast it and see if we just win. All right, got a force out of my opponent's hand. Another crawler. Maybe we might need another crawler. It's possible. I'm just hoping this is fast enough. I don't know if it will be. Man, Vampiric Tutor for Hull Breacher is fascinating. Kind of love it here. They do need to find something else. Really countered my crawler. It makes sense in general, right? Like, if you are playing blue non-Lurrus, Hull Breacher is significantly more powerful in this current metagame than it has been in a while. Very, very good against my deck with Scrawling Crawler. Very, very good against Raker shops with Scrawling Crawler, Manifold Key, One Ring, Sensei Stop stuff happening. And also very good against Lurrus PO, where they're trying to do a lot of drawing. Obviously, stock up kind of hurts that a little bit, but in general terms, Hull Breacher might be at a spot that you're really happy with. The bad news for my opponent is they are still going to die to this crawler if they don't find a removal spell. Because this thing is unblockable 3 damage. They lose a damage from draw. They lose a damage from draw. Time Vault. They only have 1 card left in their hand. They will draw a card off our crawler. They're going to need some help here. I doubt they have another card in their hand. I mean, maybe they wanted to get max mana with the Solarian Academy. But now we have Mindbreak Trap. So if they have like an instant speed PO maybe on my turn, that might be pretty good. I wonder if they're regretting the choice of playing this Time Vault out. We are pausing here, so... All right, they draw a card for Crawler. We have a second Crawler. I'm going to make this guy unblockable. I guess we're not going to win if they do have a breed. Wow, it just won. They just didn't find an answer. That is incredible. I mean, my opponent shut down my crawler, but they didn't shut down the life loss, and unblockable life-losing crawler was enough. I didn't even use Mindbreak Trap in this game. It's a very surprising way to win, but good things to think about. All right, here we go. Round 3. Got another blue player across the table. We've got Lurrus of the Dream Den. Our hand is not particularly good. But it is a set of cards that I find good here. I think our hand gets like slightly better if our opponent is on control, but I'm not sure he will be. I'm going to give this a try, but I could definitely see this being a mulligan. Obviously, if we find any of our mana sources that are not lands, we actually have a pretty strong hand. This is Ancestral. This is going back to round 1 here, where our opponent went turn 1 Ancestral. Yeah, I mean, I wish I could do that. Let's see. Oh, a little bit of spinnies. Haven't seen that in a little while. A little bit of spinnies. Yeah, so what I'm really looking for here is Grim Monolith Moxen, that kind of card. Another key is probably not ideal. I don't know if you're supposed to like save any of these keys for like Fleshraker triggers. Probably are. Though I guess if I get Wastelanded, it's pretty bad. But like playing these out doesn't do anything, right? Unless I draw a Monolith next turn, maybe. That's something to think about. Not sure. You definitely want to hold things some amount of the time for Fleshrakers. They can easily kill your opponent just with triggers. So blue, red, blue, white, Lavinia. All right, not a big problem with our current situation. Patchwork. Let's start with Fleshraker. I'm gonna play one key. And that's it. And then next turn we can go Fleshraker Patchwork second key. Hopefully. We'll see. So it's likely our opponent's on control here, seeing as they're Jeskai, though they could definitely be controlling PO version 2. There's a Swords and a Wasteland. Okay, so definitely control. Maybe Lurrus Arcanist. I've definitely been telling people that a Lurrus Arcanist deck should exist and probably is pretty good against the current metagame, so doesn't surprise me. There's another top. All right, here's another Fleshraker. All right, I'm gonna cast this Patchwork. All right. I start yielding things here. With this Patchwork, I'll cast a key as it's free, and then I'll cast a top, and then with the top, I'll just maybe I should have done this in the other game when I spun. So here's like it's a legitimate question whether I want to spin. They have a negation. They've been saving the negation for the top, which I think is correct. I mean, obviously the only other target was Manifold Key, but I think negating a top is definitely good, especially when I have double keys out. So I like this play. I think it's a strong and important play to make. Yeah. I'm a little worried, but my opponent is at 13. I'm at 14. I'm dealing myself damage, dealing them damage. Dig through time is real good here. But I'm concerned for my control opponent. Like, these cards, Patchwork and Fleshraker and Crawler, when you don't have Bowmaster, are really strong against control. They demand answers, and sometimes they're not even easy to answer in terms of Patchwork, so. I do like this Raker deck against control in general, though obviously Crawler versus Bowmaster is a thing you want to, like, board out and around. So. We're also going to have unblockable things soon as well. All right, let's get a Crawler here. Nope, no Crawler. Force on Crawler. All right, so I think I'd rather just sack. Do I want to sack a spawn or sack a city to make my Fleshraker unblockable? It's quite an interesting question. I would lose my source of either lose my extra blockers or lose my source of no damage land. I'm gonna play an Ancient Tomb and save my blockers. Try to get in for 6. All right. They're at 5. We're at 10. We've got a 4/4 with a Ward 2 and a thing that turns my Moxen into damage. So we might just be able to tempo them out here. Little artifact dudes. my opponent like taps out or something, then we could always up this patchwork as well. Key this patchwork as well, so I should say. Unblockable. My opponent's gone through a swords and an ancestral in this game. All right, they're at 4, so patchwork is lethal. What do you got for us here? Blue, blue, white, Lurrus in hand. Lotus, Lurrus. Okay. Yeah, not bad. Rebuy Lotus. So they have to have removal for this patchwork. Ruby. Let's definitely get this in play now. Obviously not in play, but we'll get the trigger and the trigger and the trigger. And then I think I would rather just make my opponent have the swords for the patchwork. Because then they're not swording my Fleshraker. I could have made both unblockable, I guess. I should have done that. That was stupid. Oh, my bad. I messed that up, obviously. I kind of just didn't think I could make them both unblockable, and then I would only be 1 spell away. If that doesn't come back to bite me. Man, I didn't even think about 6 mana make them both unblockable. Yeah, I mean, there's a downside in losing another spawn, but... I mean, they've used 2 swords now. They have more swords. If they have another swords, we'll probably lose this game. 6 mana? 7 mana? Is this 4th Air Lingus? Oh. So there's a lot of upside of me not taking 2 life and losing a blocker here. So how much life are we going to from here? We're not dying. We have block, go to 10. So they can't even attack all. I guess they could, because this could be unblockable no matter what. Because I can't double. I mean, I have to draw a spell. Wow. Yeah. Now, actually... I actually think we would have lost the game if we had gone double unblockable. That's kind of wild. So maybe my misplay was not that bad. Interesting. Everyone's coming in. This is a simple block, take 10, go to 3. And we just need a spell that we can cast off of one of the ancient tombs. Very winnable. Oh, wait, they gained life off Lurrus because I didn't sack. Whoops. Oh, well, now I'm probably lost. Let's see what I won anyways. No, I wouldn't have won anyways. I just hit F6 and forgot to sack to negate the lifelink. Just playing too quickly, but yeah, pretty simple. All right, Lurrus control with no Bowmaster. I think you still are bringing in Masticore, maybe, but maybe I don't need Dismember. Just Masticore, maybe. The thing is, I don't think I want to cut Crawler here because they don't have any Bowmaster, so there feels like there's no reason to cut it. I just want to have maximum. Maybe I don't even need Masticore then. Well, they could have Null Rods, right? So, I want maximum threats. Maybe you still just cut Crawler. Well, Karn's probably garbage. Maybe I'll do Karn and 2 Crawlers. Could that be better? I don't know. Crawler's a weird one because you board it out in the Lurrus control matchup because you want to get around Bowmaster, but if my opponent doesn't have any Bowmasters, do you still want to board it out? It's giving your opponent card draw, or giving your opponent cards, but it is helping clock, so... But we want to find just like as many threats as we can, so... Not sure. Certainly a question to ask. Try it like this, though. I don't think I need Dismember if my opponent doesn't have Frog. Though maybe I just like can't beat a Dreadhorde Arcanist flashing back stuff. We'll have to see. All right. I mean, I'm gonna keep this hand. But yeah. So obviously, just play I just had to drop the. I had to sack the spawn token. I didn't. All right, this time crawler is in. Always gotta remember you can negate those life linkers. Thinking about negating this top, maybe. Yeah. Again, I'm not playing around Mind Break Trap there. It's just gotta use all my spells. Maybe I'm supposed to play the key because it's less vulnerable. That's possible. Force pitching trainer. Interesting. Everyone's on the trainer life, huh? Wasteland, Bobble me. Wasteland me, I assume. Yeah, all right. So they know my card here. And then they lose a life. Card. Oh, they know about Masticore. Interesting. Fleshraker. All right. Certainly want to play a Fleshraker over like Saga Key or anything like that. Make them have another force. They do have another force. That's the problem with that's like kind of a problem I think with the crawler is that it does give your opponent cards, but maybe it's fine if you're tempoing hard enough. And my opponent is pretty behind in this game. Obviously, this Masticore was definitely worse than another crawler here, right? Something to think about. But it's a lot better than that Karn, so. They're only at 11. This crawler does attack really fast. All right, they're going to try to keep me off this Masticore. I don't know if a Wasteland plan from behind really works to what my opponent's trying to do here. Didn't draw any lands with our crawler. Actually, kind of crazy. We've drawn a lot of cards this game, and we have not drawn a lot of lands. But maybe next turn will be the one. Pretty sure I just want to play out these keys. I don't think holding them for a Fleshraker makes sense from this spot. Swords time on the... No, still drawing cards. Another key on a top. All right, well... Top. I think I want to just blind draw with top. I don't think I want to... Another crawler. All right, just no mana. All right. I assume my opponent didn't want to have me draw an extra card. So now they're at 1. They need exactly swords off of this. Maybe I should have spun for an Ancient Tomb so I could have made a construct on the next turn. No, they couldn't beat the one crawler. That's crazy. Because we drew very badly. We drew very badly. All right, maybe I'm not allowed to bring out these crawlers, huh? I just don't know if my opponent has null rods or not. I have to assume that they do. Maybe I can trim like a key. I can't trim lands. There could be Stony Silences. Wait, did I play 60? And I brought 2 in, so I'll just trim a Grim Monolith then. Let's try that. Not sure. Not sure. Huh. God, this is the kind of hand that I am too scared about. I mean, I should mulligan this, right? I have 3 City Traders. No turn 1 play. I'm just gonna mulligan this. Somehow it got worse. Probably not mulliganing this one, though. Man, I don't know. This is actually worse, but I feel like we can't mulligan more against control. Like, the first one was definitely not good enough. But maybe the second one I should go to 5 as well. I just feel like mulling to 5 against control is just not a good thing. I drew another land. Aren't I doomed here? Maybe I can bait like a counterspell on this. No. All right, well, I think I lost. Should I have mulliganed again? It's so funny going from one game where I have no mana and draw a million cards into a game where I have all mana and just draw all lands. But that's Magic. Swords on his turn. Didn't want to fetch, or maybe just wanted to wait. I don't know. Maybe didn't have it. I'm super doomed though. Like I have to hit like a run. I mean, they only have 3 cards in hand, but they have Lurrus. It's gonna be like Lurrus. No, not Lavinia. Red. Is it Shattering Spree? Shattering Spree. So they have Shattering Spree Arcanist. Sure. That's not a huge deal. I'm gonna hold this Grim Monolith still. Just get a 1/1 in here. Don't think my opponent has any direct damage spells that would change from 1 to 2. Like they don't play Bowmaster, so I don't have to play around Bowmaster with this Monolith. Definitely happy to see a non-mana source right there. I'm getting Wastelanded plus by Lurrus, maybe. As long as it's not Dreadhorde Arcanist, because we're not beating Flashback, Shattering Spray, Flashback, Source of Plowshares. Ever. Oh, they're going to take off my... Okay. Raleigh Boys. Sweet. Right, I'm going to play a Monolith. I'm going to play an Academy. I'm going to play a Crawler. Attack for 3, or maybe we're turning a corner here. This hand was not good, so if we can win this game, I'd be very happy. 4 cards in hand, including Lurrus. Counting Ponder. I can kill an Arcanist with a Masticore, but maybe Arcanist is a reason enough to bring in Dismember. Like, Arcanist is not Frog, but it does still do something really broken for them here with Flashback, Shattering Spree, Flashback, Swords. Maybe I'm being... not respectful enough. All right. They drew a land. They're playing Cat. They have nothing to bring back with Cat. We're drawing an extra card. They're taking some damage. Nettle Cest. We'll play out a Mana Crypt. We'll play out a Nettle Cyst. Will I equip my Nettle Cyst is the question. Equipping Nettle Cyst is threatening lethal. They have to chump. It's probably good enough. Exactly enough. Thanks to our 2 draws off Crawler. All right, so we got the Cat away. Opponent's at 11. We did lose our creature to do that. Upkeep Mystical, Shattering Spree, Balance. Balance will make me regret not playing out my City of Traders, which is interesting. I mean, if they have any extra mana, then Shattering Spree could be real good here. Hit this Nettle Cyst, hit this Crawler, leave me with 2 Nettle Cyst. If they don't, then maybe the best answer is just Swords. It is Shattering Spree. They lose a life. Do they have a second red source? Yeah, they do. All right. That was definitely the downside, but it would have been even worse if I hadn't... I think it would have been even worse for me if I had let the Lurrus live. So they have a Lavinia and no cards. I have 2 Nettle Cysts and no cards. Should be an interesting game. See, obviously they have Ancestrals and Cruises and Delves. I'm worried. Certainly worried. Right. Taking any damage? Lost some life? Any... Oh, man. Imagine if I draw a One Ring here or a Mystic Forge or something. I had some good draws. Top is obviously great, but I drew another mana. What do they draw? I have actually really good draws for a mud deck here. Obviously, there's 3 or 4 tops that are good. 3 crawling crawlers, 4 rings, forge, and it's not a bad amount of top decks that are good here. All right, they have enough mana to force if they drew force. I want to flip Sensei's top. All right. Spin Sensei's top. Not a lot of ways to get rid of our cards on the top here. Saga. Yeah, Saga is an uncounterable must-kill threat. I think it's better than getting a crawler here. They'll have to find a wasteland very quickly or they're in huge trouble. And then we can still play a crawler next turn. All right. I lost another flip. I'm at 10. I'll play a top. Oh, they found a force. Still have a crawler underneath here. But I also have construct tokens. I guess I am going to play this out. And if they don't have a removal spell, it's super lethal because of I can get another key. They have 1 card. Yeah, I mean, Urza Saga is Urza Saga. You don't have a wasteland, you don't have a wasteland. Pretty brutal. Are they thinking that they have a swords in hand, so they're going to make me play this, get it swords? No. Try to clock me out that way. White, blue, red. What is this? Shattering Spree? Oh, prismatic ending on my nettle cyst. Alright, so they're just dead. I can just get a key. Oh, wait. Without the nettle cyst, I don't have enough damage. I see. Oh, I'll keep losing all my flips. Scrawling Crawler. 4. I mean, this should just be a top, right? Let's see if I can find another, like, broken card. Key. So I can make this a 6/6. Don't think I want to play Crawler because I don't think I want them to draw another card. So I think I'm going to... No, I think the extra damage is better. If he wants to chump, it's fine. All right, they're at 2. Probe. I got nothing. They lose a life. They're at 1. I feel like if they had a balance, they would have blocked. So we're probably safe from that. Otter. They're going to die to this crawler, though. They need to find a swords off the otter for this. And then my key kills them. So we're fine here. They found the swords. Okay. So they made all the right plays. It's just not going to be good enough. Cool. So it was a sweet win. I do really like the idea of the Jeskai control deck. Boom. Unblockable, baby. Unblockable. GG's opponent. Always fun. All right. We're back later on in the day. Let's see what we can find. That's not a good one. Let's try again. This one's better. I don't hate this one. I'm gonna put away the Nettlecyst and keep the max payoffs. Let's see if that pays off for us. All right, 6-card hand from the opponent. I like the idea of monolithing out the Fleshraker, and then next turn we can play one of our 4-drops. We'll have to lose our city, obviously, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Also, if our opponent does end up on Dredge, which they sometimes do, we'd have double threats against Grief. Looks like Tinker? It's not Doomsday. I'm getting turn 1 Tinkered by turn 1 Tinker. God bless. Oh my god, they never do this, but now they did it. All right, my opponent went turn 1 Tinker on me. Let's see, the Imperial Seal. Are we beseeching? I can't imagine we can win the game after our opponent casts Imperial Seal here, but again, we sleeved up the no forcible deck, and our opponent cast turn 1 Tinker. Though, to be fair, there are a lot fewer turn 1 Tinkers happening in Vintage now than there were in the past. Looks like he tutored for top. Interesting. All right, I'm gonna just give him some time because I'd like to see what we're winning with here. I was kind of expecting my opponent to Imperial Seal for a Beseech the Mirror on top and then go for a Yogwell Storm kill, but this works too, I'm sure. I do need to see what's going on though. Is it just PO with Imperial Seal? Is it just... what are we doing? We've gone through a lot of cards, and we haven't really cast anything off the top of the library. 2 Moxen and a Crypt are already gone. 7 life. I have no idea what's going on exactly here. Maybe we're just... Storm counting. 16. Could spin if they need to. Ancestral. 17. 4 life, 12 cards. Normally I just concede, but I mean, I gotta know what's happening. My opponent casts Imperial Seal. That's not a very common thing in Vintage these days. What do you have happening here? We're spinning now, okay. What is the plan? Sapphire? That's all the Moxen. Oh no, there's still a Pearl. Haven't seen any Opals. Haven't seen Dark Rituals. Haven't seen POs. Haven't seen anything. We really haven't seen anything, so it's like hard to... I gotta wait. I gotta find out. Oh no. Stay with me. All right, black mana, Dark Ritual, and Vamp Tutor. So they're gonna go to 2 cards or 2 life. They can draw. Oh, Lotus. Here we go. Yogwell, I assume. I mean, they can't Vamp or Seal again. So confused. I'm so confused. I didn't think it was possible. It's probably not possible. Something's got to give. We're spinning again. I assume tendrils. Oh, sorry. All right, here we go. Tendrils. Draw with top tendrils. Yeah. Yogwell. I'm so confused. Are we ancestraling? We have to, right? That's why we Yogwelled. How have we not won already? This must be an epic string of bad variants. Or they missed something. They're still going. They're at 2. There's a mana crypt in play. If they pass the turn, they could lose. But I mean, spin? Like if they find tendrils, they can just draw it with top and cast it. So I don't know how this happens. I just wanted to see more cards. Personal tutor. They found the tendrils. At 1 life, they found the tendrils with personal tutor. That's crazy. All right. Okay. I assume I can disruptor flute this somehow. I don't exactly know what you're supposed to name, but this looks like a Mindbreak Trap, disruptor flute, Stone Brain, possibly Cage matchup. It's a lot of things. It's kind of hard to say because this deck isn't another kind of rogue deck, you know. I think we just want the things that attack. How many cages do we want? Clearly they have Citadel and Yogwill. It's probably pretty reasonable. So like this would be the normal board plan for like a Doomsday opponent. Maybe Disruptor Flute is actually not what we want, and we just want cages. Because like I don't know what you're actually hitting on this Disruptor Flute. Because they didn't seem like they had Beseech. But I feel like Beseech could be what they have. Cage might make more sense. But if I Stonebrain Tendrils, that might just be lethal. We'll see. Okay, I guess we'll try it. Shall we try Stonebraining the Tendrils from my opponent? Oh my god, this hand is too funny. 1, 2. I mean, let's give it a shot. Might not even have enough to Mindbreak Trap if we need to. I don't have to use Mindbreak Trap. It's better to just use all this mana. Does this kill you, opponent? Does Stonebraining They're gonna force it! All right, I have to go for it. I have to try. Tendrils of Agony. Does this make a lethal kill? No. So they have Saga. Okay, so it's just Saga. I gotta keep that up so I can see the cards. That's an attacker. You have a blue card that you drew to force this? All right, I got an attacker. They need to find an Urza Saga. Hardcast Force. Guess they're gonna hardcast Force on this. Oh, wild. I don't really have anything else to say. I just have to see if this patchwork gets there. So there's a long goodbye in my opponent's deck. We can also Volt Key Saga us. I'm not actually sure if this Stonebrain is that good. Because my opponent can still establish infinite turns or Citadel kill us. All right, I think we're going to game 3. But I don't think I'm going to keep Stonebrain in. It looks like there's too many things that kill us. I could still lose this game. Like, Volt Key does kill me here because of Saga. Assuming Saga isn't, like, the last card in their deck, which probably won't be. Hmm. So they cast Yogwill. I'm not sure that's good enough. But we'll see what happens. So now that we know what's in my opponent's deck, maybe we can play Disruptor Flute. Naming top, which is kind of awkward, but Disruptor Flute seems a little bit better now. It's a big old patchy boy. That's an opal. One card left in my opponent's hand. They have a Gataxian Probe, but they can't cast Vampiric Tutor. I'm surprised there's no Beseech in this list. It's a very interesting list. Probe. And? Didn't they brainstorm so they know the cards? Oh, maybe they have a bounce. All right, here it is. Sinking a super, maybe. Sinking a super pay. Sure. That's fine. We'll just replay. Gonna leave this bauble in play. I don't think I need a new card. My opponent has to bounce my patchwork every turn, then whatever. Stock up. Yeah. Bolt key. Win? Probably not, right? No, key. Yeah, bolt key win. That'd be crazy. That'd be wild. Stock up that good. Oh, I got rid of that. Another one. Time vault. No way. Time vault tinker? With exactly enough? Wow. All right. Boom, bested. Obviously, Saga could be like their last card or something, but they have like DTs and stuff, so it's probably not gonna ever happen. Brutal. All right, one more time. Let's see if we can learn any more lessons here before the end. A nice, solid hand. Absolutely. Down. Let's go Mox, Mox, turn off forces, and then play City Crawler. Pass. They've got a Delta. C. Soul Ring. Another Tinker deck? Where are these Tinker decks coming from? All right. Draw. Lodestone. Karn. All right. I mean, Karn's got to be the best play by a lot here. Karn seems like one of the better reasons to play this deck, honestly. I mean, was he even my sideboard? There's like nothing in my sideboard, right? Oh, I can Stone Brain them. Cage them. I mean, they look like they're going to be Beseech, maybe. Oh, Ancient Tomb. Huh? What does that mean? Now I really want to Stone Brain them and figure out what the hell's going on. Top. Tinker? Stock up. Everyone's just stocking up. That's what's going on. Everyone said, damn, stock up? All right, I guess we're back. All right, turn one Tinker. Turn one... Karn is how you win the game. I understand now. All right, I'm going to bring in Mindbreak Trap and Disruptor Flute. I'm not going to bring in those Stone Brains. And then I'm going to take out Ring and Gates. And maybe I'll play a Cage that I can search for. I still don't know what I'm Disrupting Fluting, though. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to hit. Stock up. So maybe I'll just play these rings again. Just play some Mindbreak Traps until we have more idea what's going on here. I mean, maybe it's just PO. One ring is pretty slow against PO. Don't know. This is a really fast hand. I have about infinite mana here. Let's see. Our opponent did F6 on us. I don't know if it means they have no forces or they just... Like, they could be like an all-in Beseech deck. All right. They mulled to 5. PO? Karn. All right. Turn 1 Karn from my opponent. Mox, 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 Karn. Well, that's a good draw. I don't want to show my cards or my artifacts yet. See what this Karn gets. 5 mana. What do you got on this Karn? Guess we gotta see what's in the Karn board. Sometimes these PO decks or Tinker decks don't really have good Karn boards. Ah, no. Nothing. The other time it's just one-sided null rod. City. So with City, we can play Mox. Mox. Ring. Key. Let's put this Karn down to 2. 1. Could I have done it? Oh, man. All right, Lotus dead. All right, they're dead. Or, well, I mean, they're not dead, but we're free is what I should say. All right, hit their Karn. Kill their Karn. Draw with this. Draw with this. Spin a top. Another top and a Mind Break Trap. I guess we can keep a Mind Break Trap on top. Mox. Mox. Bobble. I have to crack the bobble if I use the Mind Break Trap, though. Alright, I mean... They're probably just dead next turn. Oh, maybe I should have cast a bunch of Sensei Stops. I will be able to do that next turn. Just cast a bunch of Sensei Stops. Thunder Trap Trainer. What does this find? So people are just trying out a bunch of different Tinker decks. PO? Glad I have a Vexing Bauble. Second spell, PO. Alright. Now what? Can't replay zeros. Oh, it's a Fleshraker deck. Alright, okay. I don't want them to play I don't want them to resolve zeros, so I think I just have to keep doing this. See what this is. Yogg Will. Alright, crack my bauble. Trap your Yogg Will. Okay, I mean that was not pretty sweet. That was pretty sweet. Alright, now I kill my opponent with 2 tops and a key. I guess I don't need to play 2 tops because I can just keep playing the top off the top. And then make it unblockable. I might have screwed that up, but that was the plan anyways. So we went 3-2. Obviously, I didn't think I played like great. I could have had some better mulligan choices, a couple better sequencing plays. Obviously, there was the no block or no sack on the block. But we played against just a weird set of matches. We played against Big Blue, no Tinker, Tinker PO, Jeskai Lurrus, Tinker Tendrils, and Tinker PO. And we actually went 3-2. We beat 2 of the 3 Tinker decks. which is pretty surprising, all things considered. And then we obviously could ground out the win against Jeskai, the Lurrus Jeskai, but not the Big Blue Jeskai. So weird set of matches. I don't really know if I learned very much. A lot of our losses, I guess, like we lost to like a turn 1 Tinker here, right? We actually beat 2-0 the other two powerful PO'd hands, which is really interesting. Maybe Crawler is just that good. Though I guess we scammed one win versus P9 with the Volt Key. So I do think that people are not attacking the right spots against me. And obviously from my side against this deck. You need to be very selective with what you choose to force, or it can backfire pretty heavily. I think that's the one thing that I reaffirmed with this league, was that what you force matters a ton. So hopefully you enjoyed this league. It was a bit of a mess, but sometimes that's what happens. More vintage content coming up on this YouTube channel every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I will see you then.